Squid is cleaned and cut and the pieces are rinsed well before leaving aside with some salt. A stellar blend of authentic masala called Rechad is prepared and kept aside as well. The squid fins and some of the tentacles are cut into small pieces for the stuffing. To make the stuffing, onion, chilies and the Rechad masala is sauteed together, tomatoes are added and the squid pieces are added as well. Coriander is added at the end and it's left to cool. The filling is transferred to a piping bag to speed up the stuffing process and the squid tubes are filled and secured. This is then shallow fried and brushed with more Rechad masala and returned to the leftover chili fry to be served together. Of course, you can use the ready-made squid tubes, but the best way to do this is to clean it yourself. This also means you can use the fins and the tentacles in the filling. I'm first going to yank at this to separate the tentacles from the tube. You're also going to remove the gladius or the pen. This is the backbone of this little guy. It's fascinating. It looks like a plastic feather. I'm always nervous to get my fingers right into the tube, so I like to use small tongs to try and pull everything out. You want to get out the ink sac, which can be pretty messy if it bursts. Squid has a skin that covers it that must be removed. I'm going to try to find a spot where I can separate this from the flesh, and usually it's pretty easy to yank off. The underside has thinner skin and this can be harder to pull. Some people like to leave the fins on, but I prefer to take them off. Typically, they'll come right off if you tug on it, but it can also be cut off. I'm now going to cut where the tentacles meet the eye. Everything below the eye needs to be discarded. Squeeze the tentacles together and push out a hard ball-like thing, and this is the beak. You should now have a tube, the fins, and the tentacles. Place these in a colander. I have 4 squid and these weigh about 3.5 or 1.5 kilos in total. Now I'm going to rinse all of these thoroughly and make sure to rinse the insides of the tube. Get your fingers in there to make sure there's nothing left over. Once all of the water has drained, I'm going to add some salt to my squid and keep it aside. To make the Rechad masala, I'm first going to soak 15 red Kashmiri chillies in boiling hot water. I will also soak a ball of tamarind. I have half a cup of onion here and I'm just going to heat it in a hot pan. Once it has a few scorch marks, I'm going to remove it and keep it aside. The squid has had some time in the salt, so now I'm going to chop up the pieces that I need. I'm going to start with the tentacles. These are the long feeding tentacles that look like a long udon noodle, so I'm just going to chop this up. I will also chop up 1 or 2 of the tentacles and leave 2 intact for garnish. This is totally optional. I'm also going to chop up the fin into little pieces. To make the Rechad paste, add the dry ingredients first. I've got 1 teaspoon of peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, 10 cloves, 1.5 inch stick of cinnamon, and just to give it a head start, I'm going to grind this. Next, I'm going to add in the onion that I roasted earlier. I'm also going to add 1.5 tablespoons of jaggery, 8 cloves of garlic, a 1.5 inch piece of ginger, and half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. Squeeze the water out of the chilies and add them in. Add salt to taste and strain in the tamarind paste. Finally, I'm going to add half a cup of vinegar. You can use Goa vinegar, or if you don't have that, you can use malt or red wine vinegar. Grind this till it's a smooth, beautiful paste. You can store the Rechad Masala in the fridge for future use as well. To make the chili fry, add some oil, add half a cup of finely diced onion, 1 teaspoon of sliced green chilies, 1 tablespoon each of finely chopped ginger and garlic, and saute this. Next, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of the prepared Rechad Masala. Mix this together with the onion and chili and add 1 cup of finely diced tomato. Now I'm going to add salt to taste. And I'm going to add a little bit more oil for the tomato to cook. I'm going to cover it and cook this for a few minutes. Once the tomatoes are soft, squish them with the back of a spoon and cover this again. Add a bit more oil if required, and now I'm going to add in all of the chopped squid. I got about 2 cups. If you're not purchasing whole squid, you can also use shrimp for your stuffing. Mix this in and allow it to cook. Finally, I'm going to add in half a cup of chopped coriander and allow it to cool. Now let's stuff these, but how do we get this from here to there? You can totally use a spoon if you like, but this can be a bit messy and takes a bit of time. I like to fill a disposable piping bag Then I'm just simply going to cut the tip off and push the filling in to stuff the tubes. Don't fill the tubes right at the top, leave about an inch as they will swell up when cooked, and push the filling upwards. Close the tubes with a toothpick. Add some oil to the pot and add in the squid, 2 or 3 at a time, so they have enough space to cook. I like to brush these with more masala as they cook. Once done, keep them aside and serve them together with the leftover filling. Enjoy!